discuss a very important topic. Someone may term it a credit crunch, others may term it a fiscal meltdown. People have millions of Ghana cedis stashed away in various financial institutions, especially savings and loans institutions, but they can't access those funds. Today we look at sanitizing that particular industry. And to help us do the discussion is no less a person than Dr. Emmanuel Akwasam. He's a senior lecturer with Wisconsin University.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you very much.
Many Ghanaians are quite scared of not only banks but savings and loans, companies. And I dare say that there are people who would want to put monies in money bags and put under their beds rather than save with any financial institution. Take us through what legislation there is regarding the operations of what you would term a savings and loans company.
Thank you very much. The main distinction between a bank and a savings and loan institution,
yes, sir,
is that the minimum capital requirement for setting up a bank is normally higher than that of a savings and loan institution.
Okay.
Yes, currently the minimum capital requirement for a bank used to be 120 million Ghana cedis, and it is also stipulated now that by the end of December this year, it should move to 400 million. And the savings and loans also have to have a minimum capital of about 50 million Ghana cedis. Now, basically, the savings and loan division is for small businesses, individuals who find it difficult to raise, capital or financial support from the banks. They normally go to the savings and loans institutions, for financial assistance. And the public also normally save with them, and when they need some financial support where they cannot get from the main banks, the savings and loans companies are able to offer them the financial assistance. So the regulation is that where the banks normally take care of higher deposits, these ones take care of maybe smaller deposits to take care of the smaller segment of the society, and that could be the main distinction there.
Is it that we are talking only numbers, the magnitude of operations, that distinguishes between the two actors within the financial industry?
Not necessarily numbers. The basic division is what I've mentioned, that it's difficult for smaller businesses basically to deal with the main banks, the commercial banks, I mean. And for that matter, these small institutions are there to bridge the gap between the bigger banks, that's the commercial banks, and the smaller businesses in terms of financial support. So when they find it difficult to access funds from the commercial banks, then these ones come handy to provide the support. Basically, these institutions must all be licensed. You need the support of the Bank of Ghana, the official approval of the Bank of Ghana before you can be in operation. So whether you are a commercial bank or you are a savings and loan company, the issue is that you must be given the license to operate by the central bank. But the basic distinction is the capital requirement and the clientele base of the two segments of the financial sector.
I think operators of savings and loans industries have got their own form of association,
yes,
to pursue the understanding of this industry.
Okay.
We have on the studio on the phone Mr. Trinibo Akodia, who is the executive secretary of Savings and Loans. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for making time.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Take us through the kind of apprehension Ghanaians are going through right now. Is it that as actors within the financial industry, savings and loans companies are facing an insurmountable stress and strain, so they can't go about their daily activities now?
Oh, it's let me say a very good afternoon to all your viewers and listeners. It is not that all the savings and loans companies are going through turbulent times. That is not the case. Of course, everybody is aware, those who are following the financial space, the financial industry space, are aware that because of the various reforms and the various actions taken by the regulator of late, there are a lot of apprehensions by customers, while operators also make sure that they comply with the various directives. And this, people are not actually seeing the way forward as to exactly what will be the tomorrow of the financial industry. And so we find that there are some level of confidence that has dropped in the financial industry, of which the confidence that has dropped is our major concern, such that people have been rushing to their various financial institutions to go and withdraw their money, even if they don't need it at the time that they are requesting it. These are some of our major concerns that we want to let the public know that banking is built and developed by regulators, operators, and most importantly, customers.
When a client, take us through this. When a client deposits an X amount with a savings and loans company, where does the money go? Is it that you rob Peter to pay Paul just to move money around and make profit?
Okay, so banking, there are two sources of funds, or let me say three sources of funds that every financial institution or banking institutions will take. One is the shareholders' money. And so I, as a shareholder, I have some level of money. I use it to set up the financial institution. And I use that same funds to set up the structures and put all those structures in place and hire the relevant people. After that is done, now you need to also be an intermediary. Now that as an intermediary, you also have to now look at people who have money, and then you locate people who don't have money. So you, as an intermediary, the system you have put in place, you will take deposits or you will take borrowings. So that is the second level of money that you are using to run the institution. So through borrowing, that is called debt. So you take people's money, give it to people who don't have money, so that they will now pay it back to you with interest. Then you give it back to the person who gave you the money. The third one that you get the money from is that your interest that you have gotten, you are now going to use it to do other expansion or other things. That is what we call the profit. And so it is not about robbing Peter to pay Paul. It is a system that has been tested and tried for centuries. And so if we don't get the basics right, then that is where you're going to develop problems as to how to manage your shareholders' funds, the depositors' funds, and your profit. What do you see as a profit? And what extent can you even utilize your profit? Or in what ventures can you even put the depositors' funds into? For example, if you take a depositors' fund for 3 months, you cannot lend it to somebody for about 1 year. So that is what we call the asset liability management. So you need to also work on all these things to make sure that the depositors' funds are also secure.
Okay, thank you so much for making time. Thank you so much for the
Thank you
insight you've
very
shared
much.
with us. I'll come back to you, Doc.
Yes.
Um, is it that people are so lazy they want to make easy money? Because he says the source of income for a savings and loans company could come from a shareholder. So if I had $5 million, could I just dump it somewhere and enter a partnership with people and just recline in my couch and then take profits month in, month out?
No, not necessarily so. Investing in a bank or being a shareholder of a bank, it's more or less also committing your your assets, your financial assets.
No, because there is no element of risk. He just told us that no matter what happens, since deposits are made, shareholders would never run out.
Then why should they sometimes collapse? It may not necessarily be so. It depends on the circumstances. Sometimes they run short of funds. Shareholders may still not have sufficient funds to put into the bank or whatever the institution to make the needed profit. So deposits are mobilized. Shareholder funds are also used, and other sources of funds are also relied upon for liaising between deficit spending units and surplus spending units. As I said, those who have sufficient funds and they spend less than the incomes or the earnings they have, they want to deposit some with an institution, and some also need more than they earn so that they can also expand their business or undertake other development projects. So this serves as an intermediary, like a middleman between the surplus spending units and the deficit spending unit to ensure that the excess funds are allocated efficiently. So it's not just a matter of being lazy, sitting somewhere and trying to make money out of nothing. It's like using your money to buy treasury bills. You don't work with that fund. Somebody needs money. It comes to you for your money, and it must pay you some interest on it, so that your money, which would have been lying idle, now will have some returns on it.
What are the interest margins and Doc for financial institutions, no, savings and loans companies, and how do they differ from banks?
Normally interest rates are determined on the basis of the risk associated with the funds that you are issuing out. So I think theirs is a bit higher than the main commercial banks. I've not checked the rates now.
Yeah, because many of the Ponzi schemes,
yes, because they also borrow. Sometimes they borrow from the main commercial banks to lend to other customers who need a fund.
Yeah,
so as they borrow,
trading on money.
Maybe
the central bank gives you maybe 2 million Ghana cedis at a paltry interest rate of 20%.
20%.
Then you go lend to a tomato seller in Makola,
yes,
and you slap a hefty interest rate of 30%.
Yeah, that is the abnormality in the financial analysis. Sometimes also can come to terms with that idea that because of the high risk associated with the funds that are issued out, the interest rate should be high. Well, that person who is borrowing may not even be in the position of paying back the loan. So that is what I find difficult to understand about the whole concept, that we look at the risk associated with it and determine the interest rate. If it is high, then the interest rate should also be high. Meanwhile, the person who is borrowing, because the interest rate is too high, he will not be able to pay back the loan. So that's another absurdity about the whole concept of financial analysis. And
your colleague on the phone said the operations of savings and loans have been there for centuries. In times past, and there was usury in the Middle Ages.
Okay.
If I needed money, I could come to you and say, okay, I have 2 parcels of land. If I'm not solvent enough, you should take. Is that what we are seeing in terms of collateral within the industry?
There are different forms of collaterals that they demand from their customers. And sometimes it depends on the one who has come to borrow, what is capable of using as collateral. Different forms. It could be land, it could be, and the sum involved is also, a means through which the collateral, the nature of the collateral will also be specified. So, if I want 100 million, and I look at the business, the kind of business you are into, you cannot pay back the loan, I may decide not to give it to you at all. And if you can still give in the appropriate collateral to support, to back whatever that you are taking from me, I can also depend on that and give you the loan that you are requiring.
Is there mutual goodwill? Because we hear some people may have the opportunity to borrow and then they abscond with the funds and they are nowhere to be found because they collaborate with people who are working in the savings and loans.
Yeah, in every society, it's possible.
Okay.
Individuals can even give themselves loans. The officials of the bank or the institution can decide to lend credit to themselves or among themselves, and eventually, squander the money. individuals from outside also can come and borrow, and then the purpose for which they came for the loan, may not be the reason, eventually may not be the actual application of the loan. That's, they may use it for something else. If they came for the loan for A, they may use it for B. And again, as you said, they can also liaise or connive with people from within, knowing very well that they cannot, pay back the loan and still give it out. This, it's a human society, and anything at all can happen. People have their own, selfish, interests that they also sometimes pursue.
Okay, and a small question. For example, if someone wants 20,000 Ghana cedis and he's been bequeathed an estate, a house in Accra at a prime area, would the savings and loans company be fair enough to do the evaluation and say for 20,000, we don't think a house that on the market could be worth between 800,000 and 1 million Ghana cedis should be used as a collateral? Or are there instances, because of illiteracy, people use collaterals that are multiple times the amount they have taken, and in the final analysis, those properties are confiscated from them?
They also operate within the confines of some laws, and for that matter, whoever is trying to give you the loan, will assess all these things and see whether the collateral you are using is overvalued or undervalued. If it's undervalued, you will not get it. For example, I save with a credit union and happened to go for a loan, and the loan was 12,000 Ghana cedis, but I had a savings of 200,000. And what was the collateral? The collateral was my savings. It was more than the loan I was taking. They were happy with it, because that one, even if you don't pay the loan, the 12,000, you have sufficient deposit to cover up what you have taken. So they prefer that it's normally more than what you are taking. If it's short of what you are taking, then you may not have access to whatever that you are asking for.
So DKM, Godeslav and others, were they savings and loan companies?
I don't know the classification. I haven't gone through that, but basically I can't do the classification. I don't know where they are placed, so it will be a difficult question for me to answer.
What about men's gold? Where would you place men's gold? Tabletop, 10% returns.
They are not in the banking sector. They are not in the non-banking financial sector either. They were doing gold trading, and that is different from accepting deposit and giving out loans. It's different from buying somebody's gold and also selling it to make more returns on it and share it with the individual. These are two different businesses.
Let's speak to Charlotte Obeng Asantewa, a customer or a client of one of these savings and loans companies. Charlotte, thanks for making time.
You're welcome.
Charlotte, maybe you don't need to mention the name of the particular financial institution you've been saving with, but okay. For how many years have you been dealing with a savings and loans company?
I've been there for about 5 years now.
For 5 years, and what has your experience been?
Sorry?
What has your experience been?
Oh, for 5 years now, the bank was moving smoothly, but it was about 3 months ago. That is where we got to know that the bank was collapsing. There was a panic withdrawal going on at that particular bank, so we got to hear of that information, and then we rushed to that bank so that we were able to withdraw our money from that place.
So, and for the first 4 years or so that you were dealing with that financial institution, what was the transaction like? Were you only depositing and then withdrawing to do business and pay your kids' school fees? Or there were times you were in distress and then they provided you loans?
Ideally, I'm a professional teacher. I only do savings. That's a fixed deposit at that bank. I don't go for any loan or any withdrawal there. I only deposit money. Maybe when my salary comes and then the money is maybe, I have to, deposit something in a place to actually, either for any security or any emergency. That is why I always go there to deposit money in my account, and it was just for fixed deposit.
So is your money locked up now, or you're able to access those funds?
No, please. That is why we are crying for. My money is still there. It is still at a fixed deposit account. And majority of us, it's not only me alone. About 1,000 people are doing fixed deposits. Others are also doing current accounts. And then we also have treasure bills, other things, a lot of things.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your harrowing story, so to speak, Charlotte. Obin Asantewa is a client with one of these financial institutions. Doc, if care is not taken, we would go back to the olden days where people would keep monies, no matter how voluminous they are, at home.
Yes, to some extent, no, and to other extent, too, yes. Um, if you look at what has happened in the main banking sector, the Bank of Ghana has been able to put its feet down and has been able to resolve the problem. So if the same steps are taken in this savings and loans sector, then people can still have confidence in the financial sector. If you don't manage things properly, people will lose confidence in the system. Right now, survey shows that people's confidence has gone down. And for that matter, people begin to withdraw their monies from the institutions and may decide to save them on farms in their box. Some have even decided to buy money boxes. Today, that's the fun of it. They are saying that now let me go and buy a money box and keep my money in it. But for how long will you keep your money in a money box or on the farm or in your suitcase? Yeah. So it's a matter of educating the public. It's a matter of strengthening regulatory measures. It's a matter of the Bank of Ghana cracking the whip where necessary to ensure that there's sanity in the system.
Sadly, women
yes.
Normally would be the ones to move in droves because they do small and medium businesses. Yes. Do you have the statistics as to how many women and men would rather save with a savings and loans company rather than a fully fledged bank?
Because most of these women are into small businesses, they normally contract loans from these savings and loans companies. So the number will be more than that of men, okay. Right? But when it comes to the formal banking sector, normally the general perception is that men earn more incomes than women. So they may prefer to save with the main banks. But men too are also having dealings with these savings and loans companies. So the majority is that most of these women are petty traders. They are into these market women and so on and so forth. They normally patronize the services of these savings and loans companies. So majority of them are there.
Go to Makwala and I'll be quite practical with you. Yeah. Back to the question on our mothers.
Yes.
It's a thing of pride that when you open your store or your shop in the morning, and the shelves will all be filled with items to the brim, what kind of advice will you give? Because some people only take pride in the fact that, oh, ni store ayema all the time. Is it advisable that you always run for a loan when perhaps the fundamentals are not too right for you to be as solvent as you should be?
Yes, normally when stores are filled with items, they attract customers. Empty stores sometimes push customers away.
Hey, Doc, is that the secret?
Yeah. No, as an individual, when you walk into a shop and there are only a few items there, you don't even feel.
You could go to a watch seller to buy watches. Yes. There could be a long queue, but it's not as nice as the watch seller who has one or two people.
Most of these market women also don't have the business acumen in running businesses. So as you are saying, they follow the traditional, perception or assumption that the more you have in your store, the better it is for you, that people see you to be, doing well in business. But a lot of them are actually based on loans. And when things go bad, they actually suffer a lot. So it's all about educating them as to what to do, as to have the basic and fundamental, principle that underlie every simple business operation. That this is how we should go about things. The fact that you are contracting a loan even to fill the shop, it's another risky aspect of itself. So you need to be very careful ensure that you have sufficient funds that you can rely on.
Okay. Doc, I'll come back to you shortly. We have on the phone Mr. Joseph Opon. He's a consultant in this area. Joe, thank you so much for making time.
Hello, thank you.
Maybe I'll start this way. What are the rudiments in setting up a savings and loans company? Where do you move? How do you start? And how do you remain afloat so that the kind of panic withdrawal some of these companies are facing today do not befall you?
Yes, sir.
Joseph?
Hello, can I hear you?
Yes, I can hear you, Joseph.
Okay. Can I come again, please?
Joseph?
Hello?
Yes, Joseph.
Yeah.
I hope you got the question, Joseph.
No, it wasn't clear.
Joseph, you are a consultant, and I believe before some of these, financial institutions start operating, they do come for consulting or consultancy. How do you start? Where do you start? And how do you remain afloat so that the kind of panic withdrawal some of these companies are facing today do not befall you?
I think basically it all begins with as a savings and loans organization. As you know, we try to offer financial services to the lower share of the market. So we try to go down to the unbanked population to provide them with financial services. So coming back to your question, if you are trying to, I think if you have to make, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So
I can hear you loud and clear.
If you want to keep your customers in the face of all these difficulties, it boils down to the relationship you establish with them. I think banking is a trust, that's you know. Because someone is giving you his or her finances for you to keep and then for manage. So you must make sure that you are able to maintain that trust to ensure that in terms of difficulties, the person can have access to his or her funds. Because that is the sole reason why you are in charge. So I would say that it boils down to you making sure that you stick to the rules of the game. You don't indulge yourself in so many businesses which doesn't usually go with things, so that you have difficulty in paying back your customers.
So it means these companies hold the monies of people in trust.
Sure.
Who does the auditing? How does the central bank as a regulator come to, so to speak, test how healthy their operations are so that the hundreds of thousands of Ghanaians who feel intimidated by banking halls and would want to deal with savings and loans companies do not get fleeced the way we are seeing in some cases now?
Okay. You know, the central bank has the supervision over the savings and loans. So often they send their officials to do random checks at our end as well. So we must make sure that the banking act, that is Act 930, allows the central bank to have that supervision over the savings and loans. So what normally is done is that they pay frequent visits to your entity to make sure that you are going according to the procedure as outlined in the Act. And if they see anything untoward, they try to draw the attention of the management for the right actions to be taken to avoid any eventualities in the future.
But is it true, you are a consultant, and I believe when some of these people are in distress, they come for consulting. Money that people deposit with a financial institution, do the shareholders feel those monies are theirs? Because reports we have had point to the fact that they even go to Trasaco and other high-end areas of the capital to purchase property.
No, I wouldn't say so. From what I have experienced, I wouldn't say so. But that is what unfortunately is happening now. But then in my years of practice, that really wasn't the case. Talking of the savings and loans.
Okay. Joseph, I'll ask you this. There are people who have not been able to access their funds in the past 4 months, some in the past 6 months. From where you sit as a consultant, what is the kind of remedy available to them currently? Is there a form of contract that is signed between a client and a savings and loans company? So if you keep going to the financial institution and they keep telling you, come next week, come next month, what are the remedies available to you?
I think there is a contract between the client and the bank. The bank has the obligation to honor its payments if it is due. So that makes it a contract. So if the bank refuses or delays in payment of its due, then there is a bit of a problem. But in order not to create any panic within the system, it's advisable that the institutions take steps to make sure that those payments are made, even if not all, made in bits, so that the customers can have access to their funds. But it's entirely wrong if funds are withheld without payment at all.
As we speak now, there are some clients in the Ashanti region that feel let down, and they've actually gone to the Asante Hene Otumfo Tutu Ababio the second to ask him to intervene. Can't a client who feels marooned or lost out in this whole drama sue a financial company so that the major stakeholders will be arraigned before a court of competent jurisdiction?
Hello. Yeah,
Hello, Joseph, did you get my question?
Hello. I think the client has every right to sue the financial company if the contract, if the company doesn't abide by the terms of the contract. It's the client's civil right to do that, and that is rightly so. Because as we know, outside this country, these things are quite common. I mean, if you renege on the promise, you might be sued. So I think it is in order that some of the clients would like to take certain legal actions to make sure that they get their funds back.
Okay. Joseph, thank you so much for making time.
Sure, you're welcome.
Doctor, I'll come back to you, but
Okay.
we still have another person. He's
Okay.
in the person of Mauli. Mauli is a technical person when it comes to insurance issues. Mauli, thank you. Okay, okay. So I'll get to Mauli pretty shortly. So clients have to go to a traditional leader to intervene. What are the commercial courts doing?
That's lack of knowledge on the part of the clients. Asante Hene cannot mediate between the clients and the bank in this direction. What somebody can ask them to do is to go to the courts and seek redress. But it's a contract between a bank and a client. So if the bank defaults on the spot, then the client has the right to go to the commercial court to seek redress. And that's as simple as that.
So what would then happen? Will there be a writ of summons asking the heads of such a financial institution to show
the process of the courts are there. Whatever must be done, they know what to do.
No, because this doesn't require any investigations, doctor. I deposited 20,000. My kids are going to school, or I'm getting married. I need my money now.
Yes.
So,
yes. Even before a client decides to go to court, the Bank of Ghana is there. Since a lot of people are now making complaints about what is going on, they must as quickly as possible come out to tell the general public what they can do or what they are ready to do to salvage whatever that they have deposited with the savings and loans companies. So it's either you going to the commercial courts or the Bank of Ghana itself coming out, openly to say that this is what we are going to do. We did this for the main commercial banks, and this is what we are also going to do for all those who have been saving with savings and loan companies, but today I find it difficult to access their funds. Other than that, I don't think the two of us have any solution to the problem.
Yeah, because I think very soon people will be dying of depression.
Yes.
For months on end.
And unfortunately, they are about 37 in number. These savings and loans companies are 37 number. When I counted it, they are 37. So if a lot of people are complaining, it's not like 5 banks, you know.
Yes, please.
It's not like 5 banks which are in distress. You are trying to manage it. This one, 37 banks, savings and loans companies, which may be, in default. How do you, refund customers, deposit to them, or tell them that you be assured everything is intact and you can still continue to do business with that. Withdraw as you can from any of the savings and loans companies where you have an account with.
Okay, our viewers can now join the conversation. Do you have an experience with a savings and loans company? The number to call is 0302 786 571. 0302 786 571. It is boldly displayed on your screen, so you may call and share your views with us. So, Doc,
yes,
nobody can force the hand of some of these financial institutions to make good on their commitments to people. It's going to be a very tall order.
Very, 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 very. Some of them maybe I'm believing that apart from the huge non-performing loans that stand in their books, some have also made wrong investments. Normally you must have sufficient liquid funds, cash at hand against customers' withdrawal. So if these things are not forthcoming, it presupposes that you've done wrong investments somewhere.
So who monitors what you do with people's money?
And that should have been the central bank. The central bank is the regulator. It provides the supervisory role in managing the financial sector. So if something has gone wrong, maybe they were not aware that it was happening. Now it has become clear to the general public.
Okay. And we have our first caller from Wa. Hello, thank you for making time.
There's something going on JN Bank. I don't get it.
Okay.
I've done investment with them, but it's like getting to twist now. If you go there, they'll be keeping telling you stories.
So you mean you've deposited with GN Bank, but
yes,
you can't access your deposits?
Yes, please.
What excuse do they give you?
If you go there, they say come next week.
And now when you were depositing, you deposited
panic, because of the panic they are doing. Everybody is taking his or her money from the bank itself. So I don't know what is going on there.
Okay, thank you so much. I think GN is the most.
I'm not aware that.
No, it's one of the most ubiquitous banks we have in this country. They are in districts and nooks and crannies you can least expect.
Yes.
So it comes to me as a surprise.
I don't think they are part of the problem. This is the first time I'm hearing this about GN Bank. It's mainly the savings and loans companies, the other ones that are suffering. But GN Bank, the bank is classified among the ones that we know, the main banking sector. And the savings and loans companies are quite different from that.
Okay.
And recently we know that the problems are coming from the savings and loans companies. So I don't know why.
Hello, Kwesi Apia from Teshi. Thank you for making time, Kwesi.
Yes, sir. How are you, master?
Superb. Thank you.
Yeah, so you have to call you. I don't know your message. I'm going to call you. Kwesi Circle. You should know me well. That's why I have to take your number.
Oh, sorry. Maybe Kwesi is on a different show. Thank you so much for calling anyway. Is this the natural trajectory that you start as a savings and loans company, and in no time you become a bank? We saw it in the case of UT, then it became a bank, then we saw UniCredit, Unibank. So is that always a trajectory?
The central bank actually monitors your operations, and they have to actually certify that you qualify to move on to the next level.
Sorry about that. Abdul Latif from Tamale. Abdul, thank you for making time.
Good evening, sir. Mr.
Good evening, Abdul.
Yeah, I've listened to your programs about the crisis in the banking sector. Yes, one of my friends called from WA and complained about the GN Bank issue. It is true. Since
It
about
is
last
true.
2 weeks, we have
You mean
challenge in
the
the bank.
allegation against the bank is true?
Yes, in Tamale branch, that is Damashako branch, even all the branches in Tamale town. When you go there, the excuse they give you is they are having network challenge.
Okay,
Everything
Abdul,
that. And
this is
then
quite a
since
serious
last week, that
allegation.
was last
So,
week Monday.
my producers would want to talk to you. So, they will take your details. Then you tell them which branches in Tamale
Okay,
you do
okay, okay,
business.
okay.
But you can continue with your submission. Well, when you
Oh,
are done, you just
that
hold on
what
a
happened
bit.
is that I went to Lamashako branch,
Lama Shago.
and they directed me to their main branch at Taxi Rank. That is the town itself. When I went there, they told me that they were having network challenges. I should come back the following day. The following day, when I went, they said the same network challenge. We should come back. So there were many customers around. Everybody was shouting. Then the following day, we went. So Friday, they couldn't give us our money. Then just day for yesterday, that was on Monday. We went by the same story again. So, but we do not know what is happening. And when you said they said they have money, but they are having network challenge. And we don't know why. Just about 1 week, they couldn't solve the problem.
Okay.
That is our problem with the bank.
Okay. Thank
And
you
they are
so
not
much,
opening
Abdul.
up what is happening.
Thank you so much, and we hope
Thank
that the right things will be done so you can access your funds.
Okay,
Doc,
okay. Thank you very
in
much.
business, they call something mystery shopping. You want to test how healthy your operations are across the country. Then you send people out that disguise themselves and say, we want to do business, we want to purchase something. And the Bank of Ghana, the central bank, is it that the Financial Intelligence Center, YOKO, and others should serve as investigative and intelligence, units? Because clients don't have to complain on national television before we know that their hard-earned monies cannot be accessed.
It is true, but Yoko, I think, has a different role to play in the society. Their activities actually are quite alien to what happens in the banking sector, unless there are criminal cases. But here, a bank is defaulting on payment of a customer deposit to him upon withdrawal, right? Yeah. So how can Yoko come in? It is the Bank of Ghana that haven't been informed about this, situation. They will decide to find out what is actually happening. If the thing is on a large scale, it becomes a national crisis. Then they find a solution.
So you don't see it as a national security threat?
No, now it's a national security threat because it's on a large scale.
Okay.
And maybe Yoko and other security agencies can be brought on board.
Okay. And Diana from Obuasi. Diana, thank you for making time.
Thank you, please. I have an issue with this banking system. It's been 3 years now. My money is locked up.
And Diana, you are not too audible. Could you speak up a bit?
Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yes, Diana.
Okay. I am calling from Obuasi.
Yeah, we can hear you now, Diana.
Okay. It's been 3 years now. My money has been locked up with the bank, and the bank is closed.
For 2 years, you can't access your money. You've been saving with what financial institution?
Yeah, the name is Akufo-Mura Bank. It's been closed, and nobody seems to tell us anything. So
it's a rural bank.
Akufo-Mura Bank, Obuasi Bank.
Okay, Diana, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Doc, what was the idea behind rural banks when they meant to help cocoa farmers and all that, or people who do other forms of businesses can actually save with them, and who regulates them? And are they savings and loans companies too?
No, the Apex Bank is now like a central bank to the rural banks. It's maybe an annex of the central bank. They are basically supposed to supervise the rural community banks. The original purpose for which the rural community banks were set up was to provide banking services to the rural communities in terms of those into farming. But today, those in the formal sector who work with industry even save their their monies with these rural and community banks. Some also contract loans, take loans from these rural community banks for other business. So the original purpose maybe is lost. So if you are talking about supervision, maybe the Apex Bank that is in charge of rural community bank, they are also not doing their work well. That is why maybe that sector is also.
I'll speak to Joseph and come back to you so that you explain to Dinah why she can't take her money from that rural bank. Joseph from Tamale. Hi, Joseph. Hello, Joseph. Josephine from Tamale. Hi, Josephine. Hello. Sorry, I think we lost Josephine.
If she can't take her money from that rural bank for 2 years, it's quite rare that for a period of 2 years you cannot access your own deposit, and we don't know what the bank officials are actually telling her. They will be in a position of telling us why it has happened that way. Other than that, it will be very difficult. I said maybe they are also not having sufficient funds at their disposal to give them to customers when they call for their money.
You said savings and loans companies need a financial requirement. Let's take this call from Bolga. Lawrence, thank you so much for making time.
Yeah.
Lawrence, what do you have to share with us?
Yes. I want to appreciate what the discussions you are going through.
You're welcome.
In Bulgaria here, we are facing a similar problem with this Allied Savings and Loans Bank.
Okay.
Hello?
First Allied Savings and Loans.
First Allied Savings and Loans.
You've been doing business with them for how long? And what excuses are they giving now?
I've been with them for 1 year.
Okay. And then what do they tell you when you go to access your deposits?
Yes, not even a deposit. I did some investment with them.
Okay.
Then it happened that the maturity date was in August.
Okay.
When I got there, they told me there was no money.
Mm-hmm.
They also didn't tell me when I should come
thank you
for
so
my
much. My producers, I need to put this on record because of reputational issues. The producers are working the phones to get the PRO for First Allied Savings and Loans, and I believe he has 2 lines and both of them are off. And then, of course, GN Bank has the right to be heard as well, so that if there are any clarifications that need to be made, they are made. GN Bank is also not picking. Doc, you are a savings and loans company. A caller from Bogatanga, he says there are some other investment packages, and some of you see. The percentage, the rate of interest or increment sometimes could be too good to be true. So who advises a client? Because for someone in Bolga, maybe you want to deposit your 2,000, and when you want your 2,000, you go for it. But someone tells you, this is a fund, this is the investment name that has been given it. Put in this, after 3 months it matures. So how do you find out?
Normally we have investment advisors.
Kindly hold on. Sorry, I'm sorry. Michael from Dansoman. Michael, hi. Hello, Michael. Okay, sorry, sir. Really sorry.
We have investment advisors. They are professionals who educate, the general public about safe investments. So, if in the northern region where he is, there was no one there that he could consult to determine the right sort of type of investment that he could put his money into, that could be a different thing. And most of these ones also, they come to your office.
Okay.
Or they come to your
sorry about that. Michael from Dansoman. Hello, Michael. Hello, Michael. Michael?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hi, Michael. What do you have to share with us, Michael?
Yeah.
Mike, kindly lower the volume on your set or put it off completely. Sorry about that.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that the officials of most of these financial institutions, when they walk into your office, now the words alone will be very convincing for you to put your money into that type of asset. that they are selling to you. So if you are not well educated, you could be well educated, but may not have the financial acumen to digest some of these things. Basically, at the end of the day, you may buy the investment, and as it is happening now, you may lose your investment. So the returns are very attractive, and that's what normally they used to lure people into purchasing it. And in the long run, it ends up that it is not what you thought it could be.
Sunyani is a very special place. Okay. We have Abdul Haq from Sunyani. Sir, thank you so much for making time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
What is happening in the BA?
Yeah, thank you. So we are also, experiencing the same issue from Phoenix Life Assurance policies.
With which bank or financial institution?
Phoenix Life Assurance.
Something what life assurance? It's an insurance company.
Phoenix.
First Life Assurance, okay.
Yes. Phoenix. No, not First Life Assurance.
Okay. Phoenix Life Assurance, okay.
Yeah.
So is it a savings and loans company or is it an insurance company?
Yes, it's an savings and loans insurance company. You can go in for any insurance like policies like students life assurance policies. You can make it savings and loans.
Okay, so what's the problem? What's the challenge now?
Yes, the challenge now when you even come to Metro Mass, right now I'm even a driver at Metro Mass Transport Limited.
Okay, so what's your issue with them?
Exactly. When you even come to Metro Mass Life right now, you will even find out that the whole workers are going into to close their life assurance policies, and even right now, to get your money is even a very big problem.
Okay, thank you so much. Doc, we are beginning to wrap up, and the questions are too many for you to tackle. Would you advise that some bats get whipped now, and so that people get arrested and they get prosecuted to serve as a deterrent?
Yes, maybe
because this thing seems to be widespread.
The Bank of Ghana should begin, withdrawing the licenses of some of these savings and loans companies, and maybe begin to think through the effective solutions to the problem. Either asking some of them also to merge as the main banking sector, the banks are actually going through or are doing, or you call the officials to order and find out where the investments are or where the deposits are, because we can't sit here and you not tell us what do you use people's deposits for, and at the end of the day there is problem all over. There are problems all over the country. We need to find appropriate solutions to the problems on hand now.
So finally, what would be your advice to clients, and what are the things they need to be doing now? Because for some people, 10,000 Ghana cedis looks like a life savings, for them.
I know that currently they are not feeling comfortable at all, but if you can't get a deposit or you can't have access to what you have saved over the period, the only thing is to exercise restraint, and wait upon the authorities, to act on your behalf. You can't do anything untoward. You have to give power to the central bank to act on your behalf. Now, I hope now it has become a nationwide issue. For that matter, the Bank of Ghana is thinking about the appropriate solutions to the problems on hand.
Okay, thank you so much. We've been discussing how to sanitize the small savings and loans, financial institutions in the Republic of Ghana. And we're very privileged to have had in the studio Dr. Emmanuel Akwasam. He's a lecturer with Wisconsin University College here in Accra.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for making time. And I say a big thank you to you, our viewers, for making time, and to the hard-working crew, cameraman, my producer, Akwesi, the executive producer, and all other people. So we come your way next week with another edition of The Issues. Stay blessed and keep watching GTV.